Your plant might not be thirsty, and it might not need more light either. If the leaves are getting crispy around the edges, looking dull, or your plant just refuses to grow as lush as it should, even though you're doing everything right, there's one invisible factor you may be missing: humidity. And today, I'll show you how to tell when your plant needs more moisture in the air without buying a single gadget. Someone in a plant community I follow once posted, genuinely confused about her calathea. She was watering carefully, checking the soil, keeping it in bright indirect light, exactly as instructed. Every box checked. And yet, the leaf edges kept browning and curling month after month, no matter what she adjusted with her watering. It took another grower pointing out something she'd never considered. Her apartment ran a forced air heating system all winter, and her humidity, when she finally checked it, was sitting around 25%. Calatheas, along with many other tropical houseplants, evolved in humid rainforest understories where humidity regularly sits above 60%. She wasn't doing anything wrong with water or light. She was missing an entirely different variable that nobody had mentioned to her, because most beginner plant advice focuses almost exclusively on watering and light, leaving humidity as an afterthought. Chapter 1. What humidity actually is, in plain terms. Humidity simply refers to how much moisture is present in the air around your plant. Higher humidity means the air is holding more water vapor. Lower humidity means it's holding less. For plants, this matters because leaves are constantly releasing moisture into the air through tiny pores in a process called transpiration, and they simultaneously pull replacement moisture up through their roots from the soil. When the surrounding air is very dry, this release speeds up dramatically, and if the roots can't keep pace pulling in replacement water fast enough, the leaf tips and edges, the parts furthest from the water supply, are usually the first to suffer, showing up as the crispy, browning edges we discussed earlier. This is precisely why humidity issues so often get mistaken for watering problems. The visual symptom looks remarkably similar, even though the actual cause and fix are completely different. Chapter 2. Which plants actually care about humidity? Here's some genuinely good news. Not every plant is picky about humidity, and knowing which ones are lets you stop worrying about this entirely for a large portion of your collection. Many beginner-friendly plants we discussed back in Lesson 3, like snake plants, ZZ plants, and pothos, tolerate typical indoor humidity levels just fine and rarely show humidity-related symptoms, even in fairly dry homes. Plants that originated in tropical rainforest environments tend to be the ones that genuinely benefit from higher humidity. Calatheas, many ferns, certain orchids, alocasias, and some philodendron varieties fall into this category. If you own one of these more humidity-sensitive plants and you are seeing crispy edges despite confidently correct watering and light, humidity is a strong suspect worth investigating before you start second-guessing everything else you're doing. Chapter 3. How to actually check your home's humidity. Unlike light, which we measured with nothing but a hand and a shadow, humidity genuinely benefits from one small, inexpensive tool: a basic hygrometer, which typically costs very little and gives you an actual percentage reading. This isn't a major gadget investment. It's a small, one-time purchase that removes all the guesswork. Most homes, especially during colder months when heating systems run frequently, sit somewhere between 20% and 40% humidity, noticeably drier than the 60% or higher that many tropical plants prefer in their native environments. Checking a few different spots in your home is worth doing too, since humidity can vary room to room, and even within a room, spots near heating vents or drafty windows often run considerably drier than the rest of the space. Chapter 4. Raising humidity without buying equipment. If you've confirmed your home runs dry and you own humidity-sensitive plants, there are several genuinely effective, low-cost ways to help well before considering an actual humidifier. Grouping plants together is one of the simplest and most underrated methods. Plants naturally release moisture through their leaves, and clustering several together creates a small, shared pocket of locally elevated humidity that benefits all of them at once. A pebble tray is another classic, low-effort option. A shallow tray filled with small stones and a little water, with the pot sitting on top of the stones rather than directly in the water, allows evaporation to gently raise humidity in the immediate area around the plant without risking waterlogged roots.
Bathrooms and kitchens, if they have adequate light, are often naturally more humid than the rest of a home due to regular water use, making them surprisingly good spots for humidity-loving plants that also happen to tolerate their typical light conditions. Misting, while popular in casual plant care culture, is actually one of the least effective long-term methods, since the humidity boost from a light misting typically fades within minutes, rather than sustaining any meaningful change throughout the day. It's not harmful in moderation, but it shouldn't be relied upon as your primary humidity strategy if you're dealing with a genuinely humidity-sensitive plant in a consistently dry home.
Chapter 5. When a humidifier actually makes sense. For most casual plant collections, the grouping and pebble tray methods we just covered are genuinely enough. But if you own several humidity-sensitive plants, live somewhere with consistently very dry air, or you've tried the low-cost methods and you're still seeing persistent crispy edges on plants that specifically need higher humidity, a small humidifier becomes a reasonable next step rather than an unnecessary luxury. When choosing one, size it to the specific room or plant grouping you're targeting, rather than trying to humidify an entire home. A small, dedicated unit running near a cluster of humidity-loving plants is far more effective and efficient than one large unit working against the drier air throughout the rest of the house. It's also worth pairing a humidifier with the hygrometer we discussed earlier, so you're working toward an actual target percentage rather than guessing whether it's running enough.
Humidity is the quiet variable that explains a lot of "I'm doing everything right and it still looks off" situations, especially with tropical, humidity-loving plants. Not every plant cares about it. Many beginner-friendly options genuinely don't. But for the ones that do, crispy edges and dull growth, despite correct watering and light, are a strong clue worth investigating. Check your actual humidity with a simple hygrometer. Group humidity-loving plants together. Try a pebble tray. And only reach for a humidifier once you've confirmed it's genuinely needed and can target it effectively. This complete humidity framework, including which specific plants care most and simple DIY setups for raising it, is included inside the free companion guide, The Confident Plant Parent, tying directly into Chapter 7. If you've been building this guide alongside the series, grab it using the link in the description below. In the next lesson, we're addressing something that ties every lesson so far together: why rigid care schedules quietly fail, and what to build instead. If today's video helped explain a plant that's been quietly bothering you, subscribe so you're here for it, because we're getting closer to a complete connected system with every lesson.